We all know what's going on with the pandemic right now that is just bringing everything to a halt around the world. People are at home. Nobody knows when they're going to be able to go back to work. People don't know when they'll be able to go out and enjoy a nice meal at their favorite restaurant or a nice drink at their favorite bar. Everybody right now is under stay-at-home orders. You're either unemployed, which I feel terribly sorry for, or you're working at home, away from the confines of your office, with any type of social interaction with your colleagues at work. Nothing's really changed for me. Nothing's really changed for me outside of going to the supermarket and being stressed out, having to abide by these ridiculous rules and regulations, or sitting down supporting one of my local businesses that have come to know me as I have come to know them. Family's been affected by this. Friends have been affected by this. People in my community that I know have been affected by this. Colleagues in the community that I keep in contact with have been affected by this. I have been affected by this. YouTube revenue's down. Channels are being silenced. Nothing's really going the way it should be, man. Everything's turned upside down. Pro wrestling had one of its darkest days on Wednesday, where WWE released 40 or so different people, staff, roster, employees up and down that company gone because of the effects of what the CV has done to the economy and every business within. I woke up this morning thinking that I was going to be sitting at my desk here, just going over more and more and more of the people within WWE losing their jobs. So much so that it became overwhelming yesterday afternoon at the amount of people that were let go at the same time. I don't remember any time that I've done this podcast where WWE has released so many people at the same time on the same day. I went to bed after watching NXT last night, thinking I would wake up and go about my day and record the podcast and have all of this news come at me again for a second straight day, overwhelming me. I woke up with news that was far worse than anything that was reported yesterday, and that was the death of Howard Finkel. Howard Finkel is the greatest ring announcer in the history of sports. Ever. There's nobody better than Howard Finkel. You could talk about a wrestling landscape and the voice that he gave to us for so many years. Yes, of course. He's the greatest ring announcer in the history of pro wrestling. I'm going to go out there and say Howard Finkel is the greatest ring announcer in the history of sports, period. And there will be nobody to do what Howard Finkel did, and there'll be nobody to have the influence on everybody that Howard Finkel had when he was the voice of our childhood. There's not going to be anybody that comes along in this generation, the next generation, the generation after that, that had an impact like Howard Finkel. When I have kids, Howard Finkel is going to be the guy, just like everybody else before him. When I show my kids, when they're old enough to show them professional wrestling, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, guys like that, Jesse Ventura. Those are going to be guys that I show my future kids. This is what pro wrestling is about. This is the voice, or the voices, of pro wrestling. Howard Finkel is at the top of that list. Howard Finkel passed on Thursday morning at the age of 69, and he left behind an incredible legacy that will live on forever. He was actually the longest tenured employee of World Wrestling Entertainment, and after what happened yesterday, It was just an eerie end to what everybody was labeling Black Wednesday in the world of professional wrestling. Everybody woke up to the news of his passing on Thursday morning. Howard Finkel, born June 7th, 1950, passed away April 16th, 2020 on Thursday morning. He was a native of Newark, New Jersey, was WWE's first employee after being first hired by Vince McMahon Sr. in 1975. He was at Madison Square Garden on January 17th, 1977. And then by 1979, he was the organization's lead ring announcer for all of their biggest events. He became WWE's first employee on April 1st, 1980. And like I said, he was the longest reigning employee of WWE until his passing. Howard Finkel, man, I tell you, I don't even know where to begin with this, man. You guys might think I'm a little silly, but the influence that Howard Finkel had on me and my brother, Frank, growing up. I know all of us, when we were young, especially people my age, when we were young, we had all of the WWE action figures. I don't know if you guys remember, you had those little ones that I don't know who made them. I'm not sure if they were from Mattel or if they were made by Hasbro. I think they were Hasbro. They were the minifigures where they didn't do much of anything. You can turn their body and they would execute a move of some sort. I think they just re-released the line of Hasbro toys. It's tough to explain, but I had those toys. I had the larger-than-life figures, those big clay figures like Big John Studd and Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan. I had the Pillow Buddies back in the day. Out of all the WWE action figures that were readily available when I was a young kid, what me and my brother used to do is we used to have big bins of toys. Random toys. It could be like a Terminator action figure, or me and my brother were big into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures. We had every kind, every variation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures. And we would use these action figures not to play around in the realm of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We took all of these action figures and we actually turned their realm into a World Wrestling Federation for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We would have weekly shows. This is when we were like in grade school, right? Even before then. We'd have weekly shows. We'd have pay-per-views once a month. Or every time a major show was back in the day. Obviously, there wasn't monthly pay-per-views. There were the Big Five or the Big Four. And we would have pay-per-views, and we would have championships and feuds, and it would be like Shredder versus Michelangelo, or it would be like the Terminator versus Krang from the Ninja Turtles. It's crazy. It could be like Chef Donatello versus, they had like, I think a hunting series of Ninja Turtles, like Raccoon Raph. Well, whatever the variation of Ninja Turtles that we had, we made them into WWF superstars, aligning our favorites with, a world championship or an intercontinental championship. We had the old school WWF theme music CDs. Yes, I bought them. We put it in the CD player that my mom had in the basement, and we would take Shawn Michaels' old school Sherry Martel theme music and apply it to one of the guys, and we take like the Undertaker's theme music and apply it to like a Shredder or something like that, so on and so forth. And we'd have these shows, and obviously when we did it, we were at opposite ends of the basement in my mom's house. I had one corner, my brother had another corner away from me. And we'd have our own ring announcing, and we'd have our own commentary, calling the moves. imitating what we heard from Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan, Jesse Ventura, imitating what we heard from Howard Finkel. And we always used to love Howard Finkel's introductions, the way he accentuated people's names, the way he always made it seem like the biggest fucking thing ever. When someone retained the championship or when someone won a championship, it was something that we loved, we admired. And even now, I could go back and watch any of those older shows with my brother and it would be the same thing. Why hasn't wrestling ever achieved this type of greatness? Why hasn't this generation's industry produced anybody in the realm of a Howard Finkel or a Bobby the Brain Heenan or a Gorilla Monsoon? It's virtually impossible. There will never be any of those guys ever again or anything like any of those men ever again. We imitated Howard Finkel playing with our toys, and obviously as we grew older, we put the toys away and other hobbies came up, whether it be sports or whether it be music or whether it be studies. You know, I had music. I did it for 10 years. All my toys obviously went into the darkest part of my mom's basement away. I think she still has them, so when I see them, kind of brings back those memories of what I used to do and how I used to imitate Howard Finkel and Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. And then I had the music thing, and the music thing went away, and I concentrated on what I have here. Howard Finkel's voice is something that will live forever. His voice will live forever. When I have kids and when I have, hopefully, a son in the future, and he grows up to love pro wrestling, because I will see that it happens. When he grows up to love pro wrestling, I can't wait to teach him what pro wrestling was really about. I can't wait to teach him about the Ultimate Warriors and the Shawn Michaels and the Mr. Perfects and the Ted DiBiase's. Can't wait to teach him about Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon and what they meant to me. Can't wait to teach him about Howard Finkel and show him the unbelievable work that Fink put in every single time when he was on TV, announcing a match, getting you ready for what was to come. Nobody will ever be like Howard Finkel, ever. And I think there are a lot of you listening to me that said the same thing I know on social media, because I said it. Everybody said it. If you didn't say it, I would think that there's something wrong with you. Howard Finkel was the voice of all of our childhoods. And there will be nobody to come along that replaces him ever. So he is in the most elite company. He's in a company all to himself. But he's an elite company now because up there, we got Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan calling matches, which is the best commentary team to have ever existed. And we have Howard Finkel calling matches up there for the greatest of our generation that will never be duplicated. Howard Finkel passed on April 16th, and it was more of a heartbreaking story than anything that happened in the world of pro wrestling on Wednesday, a day that was deemed Black Wednesday by everybody on social media. Finkel actually took a 7-month hiatus from WWE, WWF, in 1995. He was taken off television. He was taken off pay-per-views. and he was replaced by Manny Garcia. I think I was too young to actually remember that or know about that growing up. Finkel returned to a full-time WWE ring announcing job at the Royal Rumble in 1996. He actually was dealing with health issues. He suffered a very serious stroke. I don't know how long ago. I think it was last year at some point, a year and a half ago. Nobody heard anything about Howard Finkel. People tried to find some information on him after the news broke that he did have a stroke. He wasn't in good health. He was overweight. And WWE released a statement today honoring the life and career of Howard Finkel, saying, when considering the greatest ring announcers in the history of sports and sports entertainment, you'd be hard-pressed to name one better than Howard Finkel, the Fink. By 1979, Finkel was a full-time ring announcer for WWF, and when WWE was established in 1980, the Fink became the first and eventually longest-serving member of the WWE family. Finkel's distinctive voice was instantly recognizable, and for more than 2 decades, superstars such as the Ultimate Warrior, Stone Cold Steve Austin, would have a title victory marked by the Fink's signature and new World Wrestling Federation champion, so on and so forth. One that, like I said, me and my brothers imitated every single time. Every single time we heard it. Even now, it sends chills up and down my spine, just listening to him and just hearing that phrase. Despite being a ring announcer, Finkel didn't shy away from an in-ring competition at times. In certain circumstances, in 1995, he battled his longtime rival, Harvey Wimpleman, in a tuxedo match on Raw. Please don't remind me. So bad, but I love Fink. And later helped X-Pac shave Jeff Jarrett's head off in a hair versus hair match at SummerSlam 1998. In addition to his legendary tenure as a ring announcer, the Fink was an indispensable resource inside the WWE offices for his vast knowledge of sports entertainment history. Well respected by current superstars, WWE legends, and Hall of Famers, Finkel's encyclopedia memory and kindness made him beloved amongst his colleagues. The Fink was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame on April 4th, 2009. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said throughout this opening on Off the Script, the Fink will never be replaced. Nobody will even come close to Howard Finkel and what he meant to all of our childhoods. Howard Finkel is the greatest ring announcer in the history of sports, period. And he is in a class all to himself. And there will never be anybody better than Howard Finkel. My thoughts and condolences go out to his entire family, all of the wrestling industry, everybody that's known or met Howard Finkel and had the pleasure of a conversation with Howard Finkel. And my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in the WWE in what is absolutely one of the darkest weeks in the history of World Wrestling Entertainment. Nobody will ever come close to Howard Finkel. My thoughts and prayers.
Flair with a chair, a steel chair. He got pile drived right into the steel chair. Wait a minute. 1, come on. 2, get out. We got a new world champion. Patrick Douglas, Federation champion. Woo! What a miscarriage of justice. I told you so. If I was a man, I'm going to say this, man. And new World Wrestling Federation champion,
is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script, the only essential business that you guys need right in your sub boxes. This is episode 322, part number 1 of Off the Script for your Friday. Thank God it's not Wednesday. Unbelievable, man. Friday, April 17th, 2020. Vince McMahon had a terrible week. Terrible week. Terrible week. So bad I had to say it 3 times. XFL filed for bankruptcy. WWE, or Linda McMahon, paid the state of Florida an $18.5 million bribe to deem the company an essential business so that Raw, NXT, and SmackDown can remain on the air live from their performance center. Folks, if you think SmackDown on Fox is an essential business, you may be the dumbest motherfucker on the face of planet Earth. SmackDown an essential business? Bruce Pritchard, my buddy Bruce, an essential worker? Yeah, right. Yeah, right, bro. Give me a break. Vince fires 40 or so employees, including staff and active roster. And this was labeled Black Wednesday in the world of pro wrestling. Black Wednesday, folks. Some of you are labeling it Black Wednesday. Some of you are labeling it the darkest day in WWE history. Ooh. You guys got all ominous. So that was that. And then obviously with Dark Side of the Ring, his role in the Jimmy Snuka murder, because that's exactly what it was. The guy's guilty as fucking sin. Shady behavior by Vince McMahon was spotlighted on Dark Side of the Ring in the documentary about Jimmy Snuka, the murderer. Jimmy Snuka. Superfly. What a week, man. What a week. I briefly discussed this stuff on Wednesday's Dynamite Review. I didn't really go too far into it because I didn't really have all the information. So I woke up Thursday morning, I sat here, I took some notes and did some research on some things, and we're going to uncover all of it right here on the podcast. It's 4:30 on a Thursday afternoon right now as I record this. You guys are obviously going to hear this on Friday at its normal time. Nothing yet. I'm hoping I don't have to go back and re-record something or add another section to the podcast, because as of right now, there are no releases, because Dave Meltzer said that there are more coming. WrestleVote said that there's going to be over 100 terminations in WWE. Nothing as of yet. I got my sites that I usually get my news from, and nothing has really come through. So we, right now, are good to go. We just got what happened on Wednesday, and that was it. But I'm going to uncover all of it. I'm going to uncover all of this stuff. We're going to go over all of the people that were released from the company. We're going to go over why this happened. We're going to go over if this was a product of the XFL going bankrupt or not. We're going to go over what WWE financials are, what they were in the fourth quarter, how much money they have, cash on hand right now, what they're doing as far as a business going on into the future, what the television deals mean, who they have been paid from and who they haven't been paid from, what all of this means, why these releases were made. We're going to go over it all right here on the podcast, folks. It's going to be one of those shows that I honestly could say is a can't-miss show. This may end up being one of the most important and one of the biggest off the scripts of the entire year. I'm grateful that I have work to do, but I wish I didn't have to come on here and talk about someone losing their job or someone getting terminated and the uncertainty of them finding work in an industry, in a business right now that has more uncertainty surrounding it than any other sports organization in the entire world. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. For all we know, wrestling could be done at the end of all this. I pray to God not, but most of these companies, they may not survive this. We might not see your favorite pro wrestling promotion anymore. A lot of people are going to be out of work. And I hate this. I hate this part of the job. I really do. I really do. because I feel terrible for everybody losing their job, whether it's a friend or a family member that's going through a difficult time, someone that I know in the community that's going through a difficult time and can't make ends meet, or it's someone like this, or people like this in the industry that I watch every single day, and I seen them on TV last Monday, and now I'm not going to see them on TV anymore, you know? It also affects me, too, because a lot of people come at me and say, oh, look at all the negativity that you spread, and you should watch your words and watch your negativity from now on. Look at how fragile life is. You talk all this shit, and you're so disrespectful to everybody on TV, and now they're out of a job. I never once wished anybody would be out of a job. It's not my job to do that. It's my job to analyze the stories and the creative that we see on television. That's where my negativity is aimed. My negativity is not on anybody losing their job, or my negativity is not aimed towards the people behind the characters that we see on the TV. This is what people don't understand. I love this business. I want to be a part of this business. I care for everybody that I see and come across in this business, whether I know them or meet them personally or who I watch on a weekly basis on live TV. It sucks. It sucks. But the reality of the matter is, WWE is not the only business going through this. I can only feel so much sympathy and sorrow for these people at the end of the day. You know? Some of these decisions are a blessing in disguise. That's what a lot of people really aren't talking about. A lot of these releases are blessings in disguise. A lot of these releases are people that you were not even invested in on TV. A lot of these people were not even being used on TV. Yeah, the promise was there of working for the biggest pro wrestling company in the world, but who's to say a better opportunity doesn't exist after this chapter in their life? Who's to say that they can't go back a couple of chapters and relive what they had once before somewhere down the line? You got to look at the negative, obviously. You got to look at the positive. Normally, I don't do that. Normally, I pick out the negative because it's very easy to pick out the negative. But a lot of these releases should honestly be looked at as a blessing. How sorry can you feel for Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson when they have money saved up, I'm sure, or Zack Ryder that's been there for 15 years, who has collected a paycheck for being an undercard talent on WWE. Guys like that are set. Guys like that I know that are mega talented, they're going to find work anywhere, just based off what they did tenure-wise in the WWE. It's not all doom and gloom. It's doom and gloom because of the time frame in which it happened. It's doom and gloom to most people because it happened in the middle of a pandemic. Okay, they got released. Now there's a 90-day no-compete for these guys. Who gives a shit? Who cares? These guys aren't going anywhere in 90 days. There's not going to be events in 90 days. There's not going to be live crowds in 90 days. Companies aren't going to be hiring in 90 days. You know? These guys, yes, they had a comfy job in WWE. Yes, they got released in the middle of a pandemic. They're not going to be making money that they used to be making while everybody's out of work now. But all of this could have been avoided. All of this could have been avoided if Vince McMahon actually was a smart, reasonable businessman. And he let his greed and he let his I am God, I rule all attitude and fuck everybody else. He let the monopolization of pro wrestling get to him. And this is where we are today. I'm not saying I don't feel bad for any of these people. I'm not saying these people aren't going to be struggling for a little bit. But it is a blessing in disguise on one hand. On the other hand, how sorry can you feel at the end of the day for someone that's been collecting a huge paycheck for 15 years from the WWE? If you were wise with your money, you're going to be fine and you're going to find new and better work for yourself in the end. You are. If you're a younger talent that was released, like a Leo Rush. You're going to find work, no question, when things get back to normal. Things are going to get back to normal. I don't give a shit how negative I am or how negative people think I am. I believe wholeheartedly that things are going to get back to normal. They might not be the same as it was 4 months ago, but things are going to get back to normal. It has to. It has to get back to normal. Because when everything broke, and we were in the middle of WrestleMania season, and one thing after another, all the dominoes were falling. The last remaining domino was WrestleMania. They had to do WrestleMania, right? Everybody knew right then and there that WWE was not going to change its ways. They were doing it because they are woven into the fabric of society, is what they said. Bullshit. Bullshit. They bring smiles and happiness to families all across the world. Bullshit. Okay? Some fucking corporate political fucking PR garbage was just spewed and made me vomit all over my fucking dinner table. I get it. I get it. Everybody wants pro wrestling to succeed. Everybody wants the economic state of the world to go back to normal. It has to. It has to. Because it was uncertainty. That uncertainty led to fear. Everybody was afraid. That fear is going to lead to depression the more this goes on. Right? Cuomo in New York just extended the stay-at-home order to May 15th. May 15th. I said this on Wednesday. That uncertainty and fear is going to lead to depression. Everybody being home and not being able to work, not being able to provide for their families. Kids are at home. Homeschooling. All this shit. You're not making any money. No money's coming into the households. You got rent. You got bills. You got car payments. You got insurance. You got all this shit. Fear is going to lead to depression. Depression is going to lead to anger. They know. These government officials know that it cannot stay this way. I don't give a fuck when a vaccine's coming. I don't give a fuck about a vaccine, period. Not taking it. I don't want your fucking shitty fucking vaccine. I don't want your fucking ID chip. I don't want none of that. I'm telling you, this is going to end bad if things don't get back to normal. Everybody's going to find work. Everybody is going to find work. Don't worry about it. We're going to go over everything. We're going to go over everything that happened on Wednesday, and I'm going to try and sum it up the best that I can. I usually do a good job with these things. I hope you're going to stick around for the ride. It's going to be a bumpy one. It's going to be a wild one. Should be a good one. Right here on Off the Script. Guys, you got to hit the thumbs up. Got to hit the thumbs up. I am stressing this on every video because the thumbs up not only helps the video out, but it helps out the channel. When you thumbs up the video, it gets pushed into the recommended, and not only does the video get recommended, but the channel gets recommended as well. So that's more eyes and more ears on the channel. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button, also very important. Down below, turn on that bell for all notifications. If you guys want to check out any of my other content on the channel, links are down below in the description of this very video. If you guys want to support the podcast via Patreon, you guys can certainly do that as well. Patreon.com/JDfromNY206. And I got a new sponsor today, guys. I am very happy to unveil my newest sponsor right here on the podcast, Beachbody On Demand. Now, I don't know if you guys knew anything about me and my workout habits. I started going to the gym and then I stopped. And then I took about 2 years off from going to the gym. Didn't go to the gym. I don't eat anything as it is. I live off fucking coffee. But I made a pact with my good friend Sean. Got to get decent looking for the summer, right? We got to tone up for the summer. I know a lot of you guys were probably thinking the same way. Now there's no gyms. Can't go to a gym. You're either working out at home, doing the basic sit-ups, push-ups. Maybe you're going for a bike ride. Maybe you're going for a light jog, right? See a lot of people jogging and riding bikes. But what if I told you I got a service for you that you could get for free where you could take that gym workout and do it right in the comfort of your own home? Beachbody On Demand is the easy-to-use streaming service that gives you guys instant access to over 1,300 super effective workouts suited for anybody at any time. And the secret to getting results is getting started. And with the CV, I got started, And now I'm not seeing any results, but I'm starting to see the results pick back up with Beachbody On Demand. Beachbody On Demand is a workout program that you could work out with on your own schedule. Workouts as short as 10 minutes that don't require extra equipment. In the time it takes you to drive and park at the gym, you could be finished working out. You got the best programs from the best trainers, hundreds of effective workouts for all fitness levels, ranging from bodybuilding to weight training to cardio, yoga, even dance workouts for the ladies or the men if you're into that type of thing. You got the best trainers as well. Get motivated by the celebrity super trainers you know, like Tony Horton, Joel Freeman, Jericho McMatthews. You guys thought I was going to say Chris Jericho, right? No. Jericho McMatthews and Autumn Calabrese. And you can work out anytime, anywhere, folks. View on your computer, web-enabled TV, tablet, smartphone, Roku, Apple TV, Chromecast, Fire Stick, you name it, anywhere, anytime. Guys, I really want you to try this service because I started getting up early. You know, my workout schedule consisted of 9 a.m. wake up, meet my friend at 10, stay at the gym till 12:30. We were going 5-6 days a week, taking off on Sunday. I'm someone that slept in late. My sleep schedule was all fucked up. Sleep until 11:30 in the morning, waking up at that hour, you feel terrible. I was going to bed at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. My sleep schedule was all messed up. Now it's okay by using something like this. And I want you guys to feel good about yourselves like I was feeling good about myself. Right now, my listeners of Off the Script can get a free trial membership. Yes, free. You can try this for free, guys. Text SCRIPT to 303030. You will get full access to the entire platform for free. All the workouts, the nutrition information, and support totally free. I don't bullshit you guys on anything. I only support things that I actually use and I think you guys could benefit from. Again, text SCRIPT to 303030 and try Beachbody On Demand, and I want to support them as well. Right here on the podcast, I want to thank them for all of the graciousness and the program that I'm working out with. Awesome stuff. And again, I want to thank them for supporting Off the Script, guys. Thank you so much for that. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, man. So much I don't even know where to start. I really don't. On Wednesday, WWE announced it would be cutting budgets. Hundreds of WWE employees were expected to be released, and it all started on Wednesday afternoon. Now, WWE had put out something on their corporate website as far as what was going to happen earlier on Wednesday. So WWE was in the middle of a mass exodus of talent releases due to the CV. This is what WWE released from Stamford, Connecticut. Due to the pandemic and current government-mandated impacts on WWE and the media business in general, the company went through an extensive evaluation of its operations over the past several weeks. This analysis resulted in the implementation of various short-term cost reductions and cash flow improvement, and this includes the following: reducing executive and board member compensation, decreasing operating expenses, cutting talent expenses, third-party staffing and consulting, deferring spend on the build of the company's new headquarters for at least 6 months. Given the uncertainty of the situation, the company also identified headcount reductions and made the decision to furlough a portion of its workforce effective immediately. The decision to furlough versus permanently reduce headcount reflects the fact that the company currently believes the furlough will be temporary in nature. So what that means is that they are on tentative leave, and the door is always open for them to be rehired at the same position. Salary, I'm not sure if it's going to be different or if it's going to fluctuate from what they were making. They're going to be making less. I don't know that. That's up to the company. But as long as there is a job for these people to go back to, being that they have been temporarily let go in the time being. The company's reduction of employee compensation and headcount result in an estimated monthly savings of $4 million, along with cash flow improvement of $140 million, primarily from the deferral in spending on the company's new headquarters. Additionally, the company has substantial financial resources, both available cash and debt capacity, which currently total approximately $500 million. To manage the challenges ahead, that is the number that they're going to be operating with. Management continues to believe the fundamentals of the company's business remain strong and that WWE is well positioned to take full advantage of the changing media landscape and increasing value of live sports rights over the long term. The company will provide further details when it reports its first quarter 2020 results next Thursday, a week from now, April 23rd, after the close of the market. That is what WWE released earlier in the day on Wednesday, and then we started to see all the names come on in, and all the names pile up, one after another, and up to 40 people were let go from the company. Now, WWE, Vince McMahon primarily, Vince McMahon said this to WWE employees about the company cutting budgets. There was a 5-minute video from Vince McMahon, and he laid everything out on the table for everybody, and then everybody individually got their phone call or text, and they got a word with the company and notified that they were going to be let go. The video call, this was by Sean Ross Sapp, by the way. He got this and got his hands on the video transcript of what Vince McMahon said in this video to all of the employees that were let go and to the entire company. The video of the call only lasted about 2 minutes. That featured Vince McMahon talking and stating that the cuts were due to the economic instability. Fightful Select and Sean Ross Sapp were able to get access to the call and wrote up a transcript of the call. McMahon started out by stating he hopes all employees and their families are safe. He called the issues related to the virus unprecedented, and there's no doubt there are challenging times ahead for everybody. And right now, everybody's going through a challenging time. McMahon stated that WWE is like so many companies that would have to decrease operating expenses. This is where he announced all of the cuts, such as reducing executive and board member compensation and improving our cash flow by delaying the production of their new headquarters. Word for word, what was in their corporate statement in Stamford. Despite all these measures, he says, despite all these measures, given the uncertainty we are facing today, unfortunately, we have to temporarily reduce headcount. As such, a number of WWE employees will be furloughed from the company today. As reported, McMahon stated that after the call was over, employees would receive a communication detailing their individual situations. He said that those impacted by the furloughs will receive a text message from AR for more information. He says this, and I quote, "These are not easy decisions," says McMahon, "but reflect the reality of the environment we're working in today. We live in a world of troubled times. Tell me something I don't know, McMahon. I'm confident as a company, and most importantly, confident in you as individual employees. We'll pull through these tough times and come back to work and make life better than it's ever been. Thank you." Once the call was over, the company started to release talent. Now, I'm going to go over the talent that was released a little later, because this is all we're going to talk about today. There really isn't anything outside of what happened here that is of a more important precedent. We're not going to talk about anything. We'll save that for tomorrow, because everything I got is on what happened on what you guys were labeling Black Wednesday. Now, a lot of different opinions in the community, ranging from XFL, ranging from Vince McMahon's greediness, ranging from how could he do this, and everybody's labeling Vince McMahon public enemy number one here. What did you expect Vince McMahon to do? You know, you either feel sorry for him or you don't. Many people, the majority of the people, are in the boat, are in the camp of not feeling for Vince McMahon whatsoever. But everyone, everywhere, people are being let go. WWE, at the end of the day, folks, is a business. What do you want WWE to do? What do you want Vince McMahon to do? I understand what he did. We're going to go over that in a second. What he did was terrible. What he did was wrong. What he did was something that could have been avoided. But WWE and Vince McMahon are greedy. They monopolized the entire industry, and this is what happened. This is the result of them monopolizing the entire fucking industry. You know, when people want to fucking yell at me and tell me there's no AEW effect, This is the greatest cherry on top of any fucking sundae you could possibly conceive. That is the AEW effect. This is the AEW effect, folks. WWE let this happen to themselves because of their greed. But WWE is a business. Do you want the WWE to cease to exist? I don't. You don't. There's a lot of people out of work, a lot of hardworking men and women that have families that provide to their families by what WWE is doing, by what Vince McMahon has given them. I don't want the WWE to go out of business. Then that means I go out of business. All my friends in the community go out of business. We don't want that. We want WWE to be around for future generations. You guys want to see WWE continue to hopefully grow in a positive way? I want my kids, when I have kids, to be turned on to the WWE then, now, and forever. You can't have a then. You can't have a now. You can't have a fucking forever if it's not for Vince McMahon's business mind. We have the then. We have the now. Why don't you guys want a forever? That's what I want to know. Why are you leaving out the forever? You know, WWE genuinely believes they will be around forever. I mean, look at what the fuck they did during the middle of this pandemic. They were above everybody. They thought they were high and mighty. Oh, we need live television. Oh, we need this. Fuck a pandemic. Fuck what's going on with the virus. We are deemed an essential business. We're an essential business. They got what they wanted. They got what they wanted. But we need the forever to happen. That can't happen unless Vince McMahon runs his business the way he needs to run his business. Everybody is shut down. Everybody. Businesses are laying people off. Businesses right now don't know if they're going to be back up and running after this is all over, when things hopefully go back to normal. People are out of jobs. People might not have a job to go back to. People might be unemployed for a very long time. I feel terrible for everybody that lost their job. I really do. I feel for everybody that lost their job Wednesday in the WWE. I genuinely feel for them. I was there. I sat at home for almost a year when I got fired from my job. I found solace in playing Modern Warfare 3. And I found solace in playing Skyrim. My life was a fucking disaster. It was a disaster. I'd go to sleep late at night, barely get any sleep because I was just fearful of what the future held. I lived with the uncertainty that I may never get back on my feet. I was so fucking depressed because I felt like I couldn't even support myself at all. I didn't want to have to go back to my family. I didn't want to have to fucking go back to them a failure. I didn't want that. You know, all I ever wanted was to be well off in my own work to provide not only for myself, but for my future kids and my future wife. That's all I ever wanted. Back then when I was going through that, I just felt so lonely about myself. Almost a year at home with no job, collecting unemployment. I felt terrible. Terrible. I woke up every morning, made myself 2 or 3 cups of coffee. Yes, my coffee addiction was still the same way it was then as it is now. I'm surprised I don't have one right now, but I already had 2 this morning. But I woke up and I played Skyrim. I put 200 hours into fucking Skyrim. A massive online RPG. You know, I'm over there building fucking houses and going into dungeons and fighting skeletons and dragons. You know, and I'm like, when the fuck am I going to find work? I'm on Indeed. I'm on Monster. I'm on fucking Yahoo Job. I'm on everywhere. Can't find a goddamn fucking job. I was qualified to get any high-end retail job in that fucking day. In that moment. Anywhere. Couldn't find one fucking job. Not one job. Played Modern Warfare 3. I know all the guys that I met during that time. I still know and hang out with them and talk to them to this very day. Lifelong relationships were made in that. That was the positive thing that came out of that. And I finally found work after 11 months. After 11 months, when one of my old managers from the job that let me go, one of my old managers on the floor that I used to work in, still kept in touch with me. He used to reach out to me every now and then to see how I was doing. He knew I was a big sports guy. He's like, I got a couple of guys from the store coming over to barbecue. You want to come over? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. You know, there was a UFC pay-per-view on that night. I don't remember which one it was. By the end of that day, when we were all hanging out and I was telling them my situation, this and that, my boss at the time, the one that invited me over, his name was David Hong. I worked for Torno on 57th and Madison in New York City, selling high-end watches. Before I walked out the door, he gave me the phone number and the email to someone that he knows in another jewelry shop deep into Wall Street, like 3 or 4 blocks from the World Trade Center. Gave him a call, met with him, and we bonded immediately when I met with him because I got fired from Torno. He got fired from Torno, so we bonded over the fact that we both got fired from Torno by the same person. And he gave me a job right then and there. Seen my resume. He knew I worked with the high-end watches at the time, and I got a job right then and there. Told me to start the next week. Got a new suit, ready to go, super excited. I was there until I walked out and quit. Then went to another retail job, and then here I am. I understand how it feels. I really do. But WWE did what was best for their business, whether you feel for the talent that was fired or not. Nobody is immune. Nobody's immune to the virus. The virus is in control, or whatever the fuck is going on is in control. The government's in control. They're going to allow things to get back to normal when they see fit. They're going to allow sports to flourish once again when they see fit. They're going to allow businesses to reopen and get back to normal when they see fit. WWE is under the ball and chain of the U.S. government. That's what's going on. So this was a necessity. You're not immune. WWE's not immune. People acting as if WWE made some brash decision and let everybody go because they wanted to let everybody go. Was it unavoidable? Absolutely. But this needed to be done. Now, I know people, like I said, that lost their jobs. You know people that lost their jobs. You know people that might have been sick with the virus. Unfortunately, God forbid, hopefully everybody's okay. You may be a business owner doing the same exact thing. You may be a business owner letting people go, firing people. How does that feel to let somebody go? To know that somebody's livelihood is in the palm of your hands. It's got to be a terrible feeling. Now, I don't know Vince McMahon is a human being. I don't. I only know him from what I see on TV. I only know of him and his creative decisions. So, yes, I'm a little short-sighted when it comes to Vince McMahon. I only shit on the senile fuck in regards to pro wrestling. But Vince McMahon is a much smarter businessman than anybody that I really know, right? Vince McMahon is one of the smartest public figures as far as business that there is. Not lately, but overall, his track record seems to indicate that he knows what the fuck he's doing, right? I mean, WWE's making more money now, hand over fist, than any time in their fucking history. Why do you think that is? Because of Vince McMahon and Vince McMahon's vision. Without Vince McMahon, there is no WWE. Without Vince McMahon making these executive decisions, there may not be a WWE. Now, is Vince McMahon cutting his own pay? Is Stephen McMahon cutting his own pay? Is Triple H, Shane McMahon, Kevin Dunn cutting their own pay? Leading by example? I don't know. We will never know. I'm not sure if that's the case. It should be. It should be for the betterment of the company. Lead by example. Everybody should be cutting their own pay. I'm not sure if that's the case. Now, the statement mentioned that WWE is not moving into a new office space, as that has been suspended for the next 6 months. WWE wanted this fancy new state-of-the-art facility in Stamford, Connecticut. Now, that has something to do with it, but they don't have a contractor to build the space for them because all non-essential services are shut down. And that includes construction in the New York and New Jersey, Connecticut area. So WWE, they suspended that for 6 months. They don't have a contractor to pay because construction is a non-essential business. So WWE has halted their new office space for at least the next 6 months. That 6 months, I hope, is a given timeline for when things slowly start getting back to normal. A lot of people are thinking that way. We just don't know. Now, reduction in employee headcount was also mentioned, and that will amount to $4 million monthly. Cash and debt capacity is $500 million on hand to manage what they have ahead of them in the future. Fundamentals of the company remain strong. Increasing value of live sports is what they also mentioned in this statement. Increasing value of live sports rights moving forward is their priority. ESPN, Fox, NBC Universal. Fox and NBC Universal have WWE programming on Monday and Friday night. ESPN, WWE's been in bed with ESPN. More than likely, they would like to sell their pay-per-view rights to ESPN in time for next year's WrestleMania. Could have been this year's WrestleMania, but you guys obviously know what happened. Now, one has to think that ESPN, Fox, NBC Universal may be looking to cut. It's exactly why WWE did not want to go the taped route scenario. WWE was slated to tape 5 or 6 Monday Night Raws, SmackDowns, NXT. Send the roster home, quarantine with the family, be healthy, be safe. We'll revisit this either live when everything hopefully goes back to normal, or we'll revisit this with another set of tapings after a month and a half. But at least you guys are home staying safe. WWE opted to change the plan and go live out of fear for NBC Universal and Fox Sports and their contracts with both TV stations, TV networks. Now, the reason why that was because WWE has 3. They are allowed 3 taped shows per year. That is the European Tour, and that is the Christmas week. Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, New Year's. So that's that. WWE felt that if they breached that contract... Now, I don't know why Fox and NBC Universal didn't kind of work with WWE, but I guess they didn't really want to ask. I wonder why Fox and NBC Universal didn't really take an executive decision here or make an executive decision and really allow WWE to tape for the safety of the fucking roster. That's what I'm concerned. That's what I'm confused by. Why didn't they take it upon themselves to do the right thing? Why wait for WWE? So WWE was going to do the right thing, and then they operated out of fear because of their contracts. So instead of going taped, they instead went live. Then we got the $18.5 million bribe to the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, that he just conveniently got from Linda McMahon's super PAC. And Linda McMahon was formerly in charge of small business operations in the United States for Donald Trump. The McMahons are very well off with the Trump family. Vince McMahon's very close personal friend, Donald Trump. Donald Trump even mentioned Vince McMahon in a White House meeting, a White House briefing on the virus in regards to sports, that he met with all major sports heads in the United States, including the great Vince McMahon. This is known to the general public that Trump and Vince are in bed together. Same thing with Dana White. So is it a coincidence that Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida received $18.5 million from WWE, from Linda McMahon, who are rubbing elbows with Donald Trump? Governor DeSantis also, who is rubbing elbows with Donald Trump, right? Everything is just a fucking coincidence, right? No, it's not. It's all political bullshit. It's all a fucking political agenda. Why is WWE labeled an essential business? $18.5 million speaks loudly, folks. The almighty dollar speaks very loudly. So WWE doesn't look good from a public standpoint at all, just for that, in the middle of a pandemic where you got to give fucking the state of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, $18.5 million to deem themselves an essential business. So that's that. So WWE is right now reducing headcount employee-wise. That will amount to $4 million, and the cash debt capacity is $500 million. Like I said, ESPN, Fox, NBC Universal, it's amazing to me how these companies did not go and do anything. So WWE, in fear of NBC Universal and Fox and all these other major networks, wanted to go live, needed to go live, because they didn't want Fox or NBC Universal to be like, oh, what the fuck's going on here? Watch a Monday Night Raw on said date, it's taped. Watch a SmackDown, it's taped. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row, it's taped. So McMahon issued as close to live as possible. I think they have been live. You know, a couple of people reached out to me, JD, how come I don't see live in the corner for WWE TV? I'm not sure if they're live or if they're as close to live as possible, but they're live. They're live. They didn't want these networks to say, you know what? You're breaching your contract. WWE didn't want to have to go in there and rework the contracts where WWE is sitting pretty with $1 billion from Fox and $1 billion from NBC Universal. They didn't want to risk having to go back and renegotiate those deals. And one has to wonder, WWE got away like gangbusters, bro. They got away with highway robbery. Now, they didn't foresee a fucking worldwide pandemic shutting the entire fucking planet down. But, my God, man, they made those deals at the perfect time for both Raw and SmackDown. How lucky did they get with those deals when they did and with the numbers that they got for those deals? We could realistically be moving forward in the years ahead. You know, WWE sitting pretty for the next 5 years. But we could be looking forward in the years ahead after these 5 years are up for not only WWE but all major sports to never see TV sports rights paid for that in that dollar amount ever again. So it's pretty crazy to think that WWE is getting what they're getting in the midst of what we're dealing with now. They're making more money in the history ever. They're making more money now than they've ever made in their fucking entire history as a company. Now, the $500 million that I mentioned, that is cash and debt, that is not $500 million in cash. Meltzer was reporting that this was unavoidable. This was unavoidable, but not for that reason. It's not $500 million in cash that they have just laying around that they can have, sitting in the vault. It's not like he's Scrooge McDuck, right? They had $90 million in liquid cash at the end of the fourth quarter last year. They have $350 million in ongoing liabilities and outstanding income. And they have not been paid in full from Saudi Arabia. So what that means is that they have $350 million just waiting, right? They have $350 million waiting from here, from there, for this, for that, for this, for that. But they have $90 million as of the fourth quarter of last year and $350 million in ongoing liabilities and outstanding income. And I know that they have not been paid in full from Saudi Arabia yet. WWE does not have $500 million in cash just laying around like Scrooge McDuck, like I said. This could be a reason why they let all of these talents go, because they ran out of liquid cash. Possibly. Just throwing that out there as a possibility. I'm not saying that's the reason why these people were let go. $90 million is not a lot of cash. And more than likely, these people were going to have to be let go anyway, due to the ongoing circumstances. WWE is a publicly traded company. They're expected to do everything to make their shareholders and stockholders happy. They have a responsibility to make every one of those people who have invested in their company happy above anybody else in that company. Man, woman, performer, employee, janitor, no matter who that person is. Front desk lady, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They have a interest in, a top priority in keeping those people who've invested in their stock, in their company on Wall Street happy. It's not something that I like, because every time a company goes public, they just suck. I can't stand it. The company ends up being ruined. Nothing is ever the same. So it goes from the morale and the betterment of the roster and the employees to making the shareholders happy who don't give a fuck about anything but bottom line. And you're treating everybody that you're employing as second rate. You're second. These guys are first. And it should be the other way around. These people don't know anybody about what's happening on TV. They don't give a fuck about pro wrestling. All they give a shit about is, how much money are you going to make me if I invest in your company? I don't give a fuck about a Roman Reigns, or I don't give a fuck about a Sami Zayn, or a Cesaro, or a Daniel Bryan, or a Heath Slater that got released. I don't give a fuck about a Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson, right? So WWE and their top priority is keeping everybody on Wall Street happy. It's not about keeping the company profitable. Meltzer said this, and he said this didn't need to happen. It's not about the company being profitable. He was right in a sense that it didn't need to happen, because WWE is still going to end up being profitable. They are more profitable now. I mentioned this 3 or 4 different times already. They are more profitable now than any time than they have ever existed. Right now. This is entirely what it's about. It's about meeting their projections and making sure they get back on their feet when things get back to normal to get the stock price where it is before the virus hit. Their stock was $100 a share, or nearing $100 a share. So how do you think that looks to the shareholders and the stockholders to see a stock go from 100 to where it sits now at like 30, anywhere between 30 and 40? I don't know where it is exactly, maybe $35, $36 a share. Also, Vince McMahon is worth as much as his stock is worth. When the stock goes up, Vince is worth that money. When the stock goes down, Vince loses money, and that is his overall net worth. So Vince is being paid, and Vince is being gauged on what he's worth primarily through the stock. Even without considering possible cost cutting, WWE remains profitable. Even if there are no live events through the rest of 2020, expecting operating income is down from an estimated $163 million for the year in the event there was no crisis to $121 million. So that is the expected operating income. It was down from an estimated $163 to $121 million, breaking last year's record operating income of $116.5 million. Again, $121 million is an estimate for the full year of 2020. Could be more, could be less. But right now, where it sits as the estimates are, WWE, if they have no live events through December 31st, will show more profits than they did last year. They are okay for now. I don't remember any day, as long as I have been a fan, as long as I have had this podcast, I don't remember a day that had this many superstars released in a single day. Why were there so many releases in a single day? Why were so many talents released on a single day? All of Vince McMahon's mistakes and all of Vince McMahon's greed were spotlighted up front and center. Folks, I stated this time and time and time and time again. This is the product of WWE being greedy. This is the product of WWE hoarding talent. This is the product of WWE, primarily Vince McMahon, handing out 5-year deals, lucrative contracts to people that did not deserve or at least earn lucrative contracts. This is the product of Vince McMahon having his toy shelf filled with toys that he knew he was never going to use until he wanted to use them. Some were used sparingly. Some were used, on a random edition of Raw. Some were used on a random edition of SmackDown. Some were used to fill the card on a Saudi Arabia show, whether it be Crown Jewel or a Super Showdown. Some were used to fill out the card and flesh out the card of Wrestlemania, whereas that talent didn't do anything to deserve to be on that Wrestlemania card at all. Wasn't featured in a prominent way, but you're on the WrestleMania card. This is a product of WWE hoarding talent to keep them away from AEW and other promotions such as Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is exactly why this didn't need to happen. If WWE went about operating their business to the best of their ability and worrying about the fucking current staff and roster that they have, and worry about the current shows that they have on Monday and Friday that have absolutely been underproducing for as long as I could remember starting this fucking podcast. That's all they needed to worry about. if you're worried about that, instead of going out and signing a Dana Brooke to 5 years, or signing a Jinder Mahal to 5 years, or bringing in Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson to the WWE, when in fact, you had no fucking plans to do anything with them. When you're going to go out and sign every independent talent and kill every independent promotion that was not a major promotion like a Ring of Honor or a New Japan. Go out there and kill these promotions and take their talent and bring them on into the PC so that they don't have anywhere else to work. Sign them to big deals. Sign them to long-term deals. Lock them up. Lock them away into the Performance Center with hopes of maybe one day appearing on NXT. Some of them didn't even get TV time. Some of them have just been given contracts to train at the Performance Center and be held in captivity. This is a product of WWE and their greed and them hoarding talent. What if? What if? Look at all the talent that was released on Wednesday. Yes, I feel bad, but WWE was handing out 5-year contracts like I'm handing out shots of fucking Jack Daniels at the bar celebrating a fucking birthday with my friends and family around. Oh, you get a shot. You get a shot. Mike, you don't drink? I'll get you a shot. You know? Handing out fucking money like it was water. You know? You can't do that. WWE's greed. Vince McMahon's greed. Got to them. And karma's a bitch. Karma bit them in the ass. Oh, AEW's not competition. AEW's not competition, they said. Corporate heads in the WWE, these faceless suits and ties. Oh, AEW's not competition. They're going to end up like Impact Wrestling. They're going to end up like Impact Wrestling, hoarding all of WWE's old talent and rejected talent. They're going to end up like an Impact reject landfill. I'd rather do that and pick and choose who I want from WWE because I know those people wouldn't have even gotten a tenth of an opportunity from Vince. I would rather look like that than hoard talent knowing that I'm not going to fucking use them. What a fucking pathetic operating way. What a pathetic way to run business. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. If you didn't fucking sign everybody just for the sake of keeping them away from everybody else, we wouldn't be looking at 40 fucking releases on Wednesday. I know this for a fucking goddamn fact. Absolutely ridiculous. Then you got fucking Tommy Dreamer. Oh, you can't blame Vince McMahon for running the business the way that he does. You can't be mad at Vince McMahon. I can't be mad at Vince McMahon. I can't be mad at Vince McMahon. Motherfucker, Tommy Dreamer. I think you had one too many kendo stick shots from the Sandman back in the 90s, bro. Jesus fucking Christ. How stupid can you possibly fucking be? You can't be mad at Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's the fucking reason why all these fucking people got fired. Hoarding talent. Hoarding talent. And of course he's going to say that. He works for fucking Busted Shill Radio. You got the biggest shills in the fucking industry on that fucking show. They're not going to tell you what the actual root of the issue is. Oh, Vince is running the business the way he needs to do it. Yeah, they got fired, but Vince has got to do what he's got to do. If Vince did what he had to do, then he wouldn't have signed every fucking known wrestler on the planet to a WWE contract. They had over 400 fucking active employees on their roster at one given time before yesterday. That's okay to you? That's okay. That's a smart business move to you, Mr. Tommy Dreamer. I don't get it. I don't get how anybody could look at that statement and think, you know what? This guy's right. This guy's right. Tommy Dreamer knows what he's talking about. I don't get how anybody could look at that at all. Seriously. The reason why we're in this mess is because of that. Of that. Now, they signed everyone humanly possible with no intention of using them to keep them away from AEW and other places. And now these people are out of a job because of Vince's greed and are unemployed because of Vince's greed. And who knows when they will be able to find work. You know? I don't get it. I don't get it. Do I feel some sort of sympathy for Vince McMahon? I never want to see anybody lose money. I feel sympathy for Vince McMahon because I can imagine the headache that he's going through primarily to keep the fucking WWE afloat. I do not want to see the WWE succumb to this fucking shit. So I do feel sympathy for Vince in that way. Do I feel sympathy for Vince McMahon in any other way? No, I don't. I can't. If he was smart, he would have knew that his reckless behavior was eventually going to come back and bite him in the ass. Nobody knows when these companies are going back to work. Nobody knows when there'll be live fans in attendance at these wrestling shows for all these people who were released on Wednesday to go back and work in front of a live audience. Who knows if the furloughed statement is going to be extended to those who were released? Nobody knows. Why is WWE going to rehire a Heath Slater? They didn't use him the first fucking time. You're just hiring him to give him a comfy job? Why is WWE going to go back and hire a talent that they had no idea? And Eric Rowan. You were using Rowan. You had no plans for Rowan. Why don't you just keep the talent on the roster that you intend to fucking use? If you don't get them, so be it. Let them go somewhere else and make their money somewhere else and let them do what they got to do as far as their career advancements somewhere else. WrestleMania. WrestleMania was the disaster that it was this year because of the CV. They aren't making any money off live gate attendance, live shows, merchandise. The Saudi Arabia deal calls for one more show, and you know for a fact if WWE was putting up fucking a hissy fit to get WrestleMania inside the Performance Center, and they went through fucking hoops of fire to get WrestleMania inside the Performance Center and carry on with WrestleMania, and they had to bribe 18.5 million times the state of Florida to deem them an essential business. If they had to do all of that, what do you think they're going to do when their time comes to do another Saudi Arabia show, knowing that the Prince of Saudi Arabia is paying them $50, $60 million for one fucking show? WWE will swim with the fucking sharks. They'll jump through fucking rings of fire. They'll do whatever they have to do. They may decapitate and assassinate somebody just for the sake of getting over there. These people will stop at nothing to get the almighty dollar. You fucking kidding me? They'll hold the show underground in fucking Osama bin Laden's bunker for all we fucking care. You know? Or Saddam Hussein's fucking bunker somewhere. They don't give a fuck. WrestleMania was a disaster. No money off the live gate, no live shows, no merchandise. Barely. The Saudi Arabia deal calls for one more show. They will try to make that happen, absolutely. 50 million, 60 million per show, all those Saudi shows. WrestleMania next year is already in fucking jeopardy. We don't know what's going on with WrestleMania next year. That could be halted. We have no fucking idea what's happening with that. LA came out, the state of California came out and said that WrestleMania might be fucking canceled. WrestleMania 37 might not be in SoFi Stadium. Hollywood WrestleMania might not be taking place. This is via deadline. It's difficult to imagine us getting together in the thousands anytime soon. This is Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. He said large gatherings and events may not be authorized until 1 year after all of this happens, which will put WrestleMania in jeopardy, obviously. It's difficult to imagine us getting together in the thousands anytime soon. We've got many, many miles to walk before we're going to be back in those environments. Large gatherings such as concerts and sporting events may not be approved in the city for at least 1 year. That's a little fucking ridiculous. Honestly. That's honestly fucking ridiculous. So you're halting the fucking seasons of so many sports teams. You're halting all events for 1 year. I think that's, I said that everything with this CV was completely overblown, and I still think it's overblown. I mean, they're announcing fucking deaths from this thing. I'm going to tell you a little story. My dad had a close friend pass away, a neighbor that he knows very well pass away. Lives about a block or a block and a half away from my parents' house. Pass away. Guy was about late 70s. He was in his late 70s. He passed away from emphysema. He had a case of emphysema all his life. He died. They labeled his death CV. They're labeling people dying CV. Oh, this guy died of a heart attack. CV. Oh, this guy got eaten by a great white shark. CV. Oh, this guy broke his toenail and got infected. He passed away. CV. Oh, this guy got dumped by his girlfriend. Now he's got CV. You fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Everything is completely overblown. Everything. I'm not saying people aren't getting sick, but Jesus fucking Christ, man. New York City just accounted for 3,000 deaths of CV, and it came out that those people were not even tested, or they didn't even know what those people had. CV. Are you fucking serious? Raising the death tolls in New York City to numbers that are well overblown from what they really should be. I think that's a little ridiculous. 1 year? Fucking Christ. And I'm heartbroken. I'm upset over here that I can't get to go see Symphony X at Alter Bridge next month. No live concerts. What the fuck does that mean? No live concerts. No live concerts, no large gathering. What does that mean for every major sport in the United States? What does that mean for every touring act in the United States and abroad? What? You're going to kill off the entire music industry in one fell swoop? Oh, yeah, you can't do nothing because there's no vaccine. No vaccine. Give me a fucking break. Nobody knows what's in the fucking vaccine. My brother works at Emory College next to the CDC. He's talking about that the possible vaccine or what they're including in the vaccine doesn't even make sense to be injected into the human body. Vaccine. Give me a fucking break. Yeah, they got Bill Gates talking about this shit. He's no fucking scientist. Couldn't even run his fucking company. We're not talking about computer viruses here, Bill. You fucking cretin. The stadium is still currently being constructed despite the pandemic and was scheduled to launch officially in July. That almost definitely won't be happening, but the construction is continuing despite the construction is continuing despite two of the on-site workers having tested positive for CV. According to Fox News 11, the construction company is supposedly taking necessary measures such as health checks and social distancing to ensure the work is done safely. Obviously, as of right now, it is up in the air. We don't know. It's a play-it-by-ear basis. We don't know what the situation will be like tomorrow. Never mind fucking WrestleMania 37. So that is that. Now, the other thing is this tied to the XFL going bankrupt? Class B shares for the XFL. Class B shares were 24% from WWE to fund the XFL. Vince stated publicly that no funding from the XFL would come from the WWE. Did he lie to somebody? I don't know. Vince McMahon, more than likely, he lied. He's a businessman on Wall Street. More than likely, the man told a lie to somebody, to some form of fucking human being. He told a lie. So he will eventually have to answer any questions when that's raised next week. Bankruptcy, XFL file for bankruptcy. You know, he's going to have to answer to somebody eventually. It's not going to fucking be swept under the rug. So he's going to have to answer. They clearly were having their own cash issues at the end of quarter four, but more than likely not. And we won't know anything for sure until the report earnings next week. So, you know, everybody that's saying, is it tied to the XFL or Vince McMahon fired all these people because of the bankruptcy filed by the XFL? It has nothing to do with that. We don't even know for sure right now. So people are just jumping the gun prematurely, saying that one of Vince McMahon's failures is the reason why he let 40 people go. 40 hard-working men and women let go because of the failure of the XFL. You can't really say that. It's not fair. We won't know until next week. The other thing about this is AEW. Now, a lot of people are asking, what about AEW? Are they going to be cutting people? WWE obviously is cutting people. Is AEW going to be cutting people? Absolutely. They're going to have to. WWE's not immune. AEW's not immune. Pro wrestling as a whole is not immune. Okay? Yeah, they're opting to run shows. Very light staff in AEW's favor. But AEW isn't immune to this. And they're going to have to let people go. But they do not have the same problems or anywhere near the same level of issues that WWE has. They are not a publicly traded company. They're not. Tony Khan and the Khan family, Shad Khan, are worth $8.1 billion. I mean, we're somewhere around that vicinity. I may be off with that. I might be missing a couple billion. Who the fuck knows? They're worth $8 billion. They're not a publicly traded company, but that doesn't mean that they're not hurting. That doesn't mean that they are sitting pretty through this pandemic. They got a football team that doesn't have any practice facility. They got no football team getting ready for next season. They got no soccer team that they own, fucking filling stadiums and having live gate merchandise and all that shit. So clearly they're being affected by it. They got no live gate. Tony's got no live gate for AEW. No ticket sales, pay-per-views could be halted. Everything regarding AEW is also being affected by what is going on. WWE had 300 talents, close to 400 talents that were employed before yesterday. WWE got rid of 40 of those talents, with more reportedly still to come. AEW has nowhere near 300 talents, 400 talents under contract, but I would be very surprised if AEW does not follow suit and make appropriate cuts necessary like any normal business in this time of the CV, of the pandemic. Tony Khan's running a business. He's going to need to let some people go, whether it's follow the same route as WWE and furlough people, or just outright just get rid of people. He's not going to be immune to this. He's going to have to do something. Now, there's a lot of talk also of WWE talents being released, ending up in AEW. A lot of talk of AEW picking up these talents. Yes, a few of them will be picked up by AEW. It's common sense. It's common logic that some of these talents will be picked up by AEW. Not everyone, obviously, but they aren't making any money right now. So is it logical to be talking about AEW picking up these talents? No. Is it fun to fantasize about AEW picking up a Zack Ryder or an Eric Rowan or a Leo Rush or a Deonna Purrazzo? Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm looking at it as things are getting better. I'm looking at it as things will eventually get better. I'm looking at what AEW is suffering from now. I'm looking at AEW's weaknesses now. And I'm looking at where they can plug in certain people, not everybody, certain people to fill in those gaps and make themselves better. It's common sense. Is it out of the realm of possibility that AEW hires these guys and maybe they have a WWE-like invasion in AEW? It's a great, fun, fantasy way of looking at it. It could possibly happen. Is it the right time to be talking about that? No. No. Will it happen anytime soon? No. Talents have a 90-day no-compete. It's as if they don't have a 90-day no-compete, because where are they going to compete? There's nowhere to compete. So they got a 90-day no-compete with nothing going on, so it's almost as if they have no non-compete. NXT talent being released is going to have 30 days paid, and then after that, they're free to do whatever they want. So everybody's going to be back to work when things are able to be reopened. But it's illogical to talk about this now. Is it illogical to talk about it 3, 4, 5 months from now? No. Absolutely not. And AEW would be foolish to not look at a potential handful of new talent that got released from WWE. Now, Seth Rollins, obviously, Seth Rollins had to open his fucking mouth on social media in regards to the negativity towards WWE. I don't know what he said after the fact. I don't know what he came out and said. He said he was for the betterment of the industry as a whole, and yada, yada, yada. But his comments yesterday on an Instagram live stream are what people are talking about right now. Seth Rollins clearly still does not know how to use social media. I guess all those late night talks with Becky Lynch watching Conan on TBS didn't help. Seth Rollins sucks at social media. He got a large number of people mad at him last year when he took shots at Jon Moxley and AEW, and it seems like he has not learned his lesson. In an Instagram live stream, he made it known that he is upset that people are being hostile towards WWE after today's releases. Here's the full quote on what Rollins said, and I quote, "The one thing that I'm seeing that is upsetting to me is the negativity and hostility towards WWE. This is a difficult day for everyone, all of us. And I think if there was ever a moment for us to unify, for us to kind of band together and do the best we can to keep this business alive, the best we know how, this is that moment. I think pointing fingers or saying, you should have done this, you should have done that is, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like the time or place for it. I think this is a day for compassion and empathy and understanding to try to support each other, to pick each other up. That's for everybody, not just the guys and girls who were let go today. For all of us who are fortunate at this moment to still be able to have a position where we can collect a paycheck and support those around us and those who love us, I think we have to take it upon ourselves to work harder to make sure there's a place for all those who had it the worst today to come back to in the future. I think as a planet, we should rally behind the idea that this is only temporary, and those who lost their positions and are struggling to figure out what to do next, they'll be able to make it back from this. Whether that's with the WWE or another organization or a completely new field in general. This isn't the end if we start fighting amongst ourselves, and it only makes things worse. So I encourage you to try and come together over this and try to unify. This guy is an absolute corporate cocksucker. He really is. Everybody is fucking sympathetic. Everybody feels empathy. Everybody feels compassion and sorrow for everybody that was let go. Drake Maverick posted something on social media yesterday, on Twitter, in fact. It got over 1 million fucking views, I believe. Heartfelt video crying that he was let go from his dream job. And that WWE is still allowing him to compete in the interim cruiserweights tournament. In the interim G1-like cruiserweight tournament. For the Cruiserweight Championship. I watched this video from Drake Maverick, and I'm not a fan of Drake Maverick at all. But I empathize with him that he's out of work. Like I said, we've all been there. I've been there. You've been there. Watching him and hearing him cry on Twitter yesterday made me tear up. It made me shed a couple of tears. Because I was there. I was that same way. After the anger set in. I sat at home by myself and I fucking cried every day. Every day. Seth Rollins he's fucking mental. I would love to know one person that wasn't empathetic or sympathetic or compassionate to these people on social media. Everybody. Well, not unless you're Baron Corbin. Not unless you're Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, he got some hate yesterday for some reason from fans, which, I don't like. I'm not a Baron Corbin guy, but one person said, why do they keep Baron Corbin? Got rid of a ton of talent, but kept him. Bunch of trash. Baron Corbin said, people like this truly make me sick. Regardless of your thoughts on me, you're wishing someone to lose their job. How they feed their families and live their life and their livelihood. You need to reevaluate your life. So, there are some people online that are just brain-dead fucking idiots that don't deserve the air to breathe, let alone the fucking internet access that's provided to them coming out of their parents' wallet. Seth Rollins is a fucking idiot. Honestly. Who was not sympathetic towards these people? The guy is a fucking mental case. He's a corporate cocksucker if I ever seen one. Oh, don't be negative towards the WWE. Haven't you thought about what had happened to the company along these last couple of years with them hoarding talent, that it would eventually come back to bite them in the ass? Didn't you look at the performance? There were reports back a couple of months ago that the Performance Center was filled to capacity, that they had no more locker room space in the Performance Center because there were so many talents. So many talents. How many guys on that roster that share the locker room with him that haven't been used? Recycling of storylines, recycling of talents, feuds. happening over and over and over again, recycling feuds over and over and over again. Nothing new, nothing fresh, nothing exciting on TV. Nobody being given an opportunity to thrive and succeed and be pushed, right? They call up talent from NXT, buried. They go right back to their bread and butter. Rollins, Corbin, all the new fucking Charlotte. And then he wants us to be positive on a day like yesterday. Show empathy. Everybody show compassion and empathy and sympathy for all these people. We're blaming your fucking boss. We're blaming your boss because he was a greedy child that wanted all the toys for himself. He didn't let anybody else have a fucking stab at aisle 9 down Toys R Us. That's what we're fucking upset about. You fucking idiot. I don't know why you wouldn't be upset about that. Oh, but you can't. You got a nice cozy position on Monday Night Raw. Now that you're fighting undeservedly for the WWE title again. You're a company guy, Seth. We get it. You got Becky and the titles and the fucking accolades and a major program. We get it. You're a corporate cocksucker. But don't spread your stupidity on social media. It is what it is, whether you like it or not. Continue to suck that WWE dick, bro. Continue. Because the more you do, the more you expose yourself as being one of the dumbest fucking pro wrestlers to ever exist on social media. How is somebody like me, some lowly fucking YouTube content creator and podcaster, better at something than the pro himself? I could teach you a thing or two about social media, Seth. I really could. Stay the fuck off Instagram. Stay the fuck off Twitter. Everybody was sympathetic towards everybody released yesterday. It was you that wanted to bring something that didn't have anything to do with you to yourself. And now you're paying the price for it because you're fucking stupid. WWE hopefully learned the lesson. Don't hoard talent. Who's going to be blamed? Vince is going to be blamed. Why did everybody let go? Why was everybody let go yesterday? Because you had too many fucking talents to know what to do with it. It's not that fucking difficult to figure out. So that was Seth Rollins. That was Baron Corbin on social media. Now, WWE, Meltzer mentioned this on Twitter, that the talent cuts will allow WWE to save $703,000 per month. Now, while rumors of WWE being able to save $4 million with the cuts, which we dissected earlier, it's not $4 million they're saving. That's not the case. The $4 million includes expenses cut, such as WWE's new building in Stamford, Connecticut. In a press release issued to stockholders, the new building has been delayed by 6 months. The current list of cuts includes wrestlers, producers, announcers, on-air talent, coaches, a referee, and a creative writer. So that's that. $703,000 per month is what Meltzer is reporting WWE will be saving. Meltzer also reported that they did $800 million in 2017. Revenue increased 16% to $930.2 million in 2018. Revenues reached $960 million in 2019, the highest in the company's history to date. Meltzer stated that the WWE is on target for a record year, even if it doesn't earn revenue through other streams, which, again, we went over earlier in the show. That would include not doing another Saudi Arabia show this year, not holding house shows, or making a dime in merchandise or licensing. Of course, they will earn some money from merchandising and licensing. Meltzer noted that WWE is on target to close to $1 billion, even over $1 billion in total revenue, depending on how much WWE Network holds up. So he says this, and I quote, if there's 0 network subscribers, which is not going to happen, we're talking about $850 million in revenue. It's probably going to wind up being close to $1 billion, which is more than they have done in any year in the history of the company by far. Well, not by far, I mean, but it's more than last year, which would be records in 1 year before all that. It's not as much as they counted on, but it's more than enough to be exceeding profitable. So that's that. Unreal, man. That's pretty much all I got on that. WrestleVote states that close to 100 people will be let go. Let me refresh live here on the channel just in case anything's happening. Nothing as far as releases yet. See, the AEW ratings are in with NXT. NXT draws more total live viewers than AEW. That's the news there. People still talking about this shit. It is what it is. It's not by far. Both shows seems to be even. Things will be back to normal when things get back to normal in the economy. But as far as the people that were released, folks, the current list of people that were released by WWE includes everybody from roster to a creative writer. And we're going to go over all of those names right now here on the podcast. Now, I just got done saying that there were no more new releases. I don't know if these happened today or if they happened yesterday and they got mixed in with all the casualties that we reported yesterday. WWE has released 2 more Performance Center coaches. Kendo Kashin and Serena Deeb have been cut from staff as part of the budget cuts. And Ace Steel has also been released. Now, Cassius Ohno has also been moved to the alumni section on WWE.com, but his status has not been confirmed yet. Kashin is a former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, flew to the United States from Japan, and signed with the company in 2019. Serena Deeb, obviously you guys know from CM Punk's Straight Edge Society, and she was on SmackDown in 2009 during that whole thing. She was brought back to the company as a coach in 2018 after appearing in the Mae Young Classic. They brought her back as a coach. Now, this is the updated list of people that have been released from the company. Drake Maverick, which I just mentioned before, cut a heartfelt video on Twitter, and he is being able to compete in the Interim Cruiserweight Championship Tournament, which is going to be surreal for him because he's going to be competing knowing he doesn't have a job after it's all said and done. It's going to be interesting to see how he wrestles in there, and I'm going to be paying very close attention to see what he does as far as in-ring work, because he's probably going to be he's going to want to be one of those guys that's going to put himself in position to be brought back, hopefully, when all is said and done. So Drake Maverick was released. Kurt Hawkins was released. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows. We got Karl Anderson first, and then I'm like, why aren't they releasing Luke Gallows with Karl Anderson? And then Luke Gallows' name kind of filtered in a little bit later. But the OC has been released. AJ Styles is without the OC anymore. Done. Now, they actually, speaking of the OC, they actually did something on Twitter where they hinted at where they will be going. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Anderson posted a video on Twitter that seems to imply he will be going back to Japan, and that is his next destination. Obviously, with the history of New Japan Pro Wrestling, you know, it's obviously a shoo-in. Tama Tonga tweeted out something for life as well yesterday that got fucking over 10,000 likes, I believe, on social media. So you know he's looking at his buddies, wanting his buddies to go back over to the Bullet Club. You know, it is what it is. But he posted a video on Twitter implying that Tokyo, Japan is his next destination. With the history there, it's a no-brainer. It would seem that he could go over there with Gallows and they could be part of the Bullet Club again. The belief is that the main roster talent are under a 90-day non-compete. This was reported by Pro Wrestling Sheet. It is, in fact, the case, 90-day no-compete. But nobody's doing anything right now, so it really doesn't matter if there's a non-compete or not. So they will have to wait until July, the earliest, and nobody knows even then if things are going to go back to normal and if wrestling will be back to where it should be. So Anderson and Luke Gallows will probably draw interest from AEW, I'm assuming. If Tony Khan is looking to spend some money on talent, I mean, I'd be looking at these guys to bolster the tag team division as well, even further than it already is bolstered. You know, top AEW guys like Jericho and Omega and Moxley, they're allowed to work AEW and New Japan, given certain you know, freedoms in their contract. So they could ultimately get that as well added to their contracts if that is something they want to really explore. So Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson on the list, they're hinting that they could be heading back to Japan when all is said and done after being released from the WWE. Heath Slater put out something on social media saying that he really couldn't find the words yet to kind of summarize what he's going through, but he was there for 15 years. It's unbelievable, man. It's really unbelievable. And just look at the names. I want you guys to pay attention to the names. Drake Maverick and Heath Slater. Kurt Hawkins. they weren't serving a viable role on television. Yeah, you feel bad if they don't have a job and don't have a paycheck coming in. How many people were WWE paying now anyway? If you weren't being used on TV, you more than likely weren't being paid anything more than your downside guarantee. Even Braun Strowman came out and said that he had his payments stopped by WWE because he wasn't on TV. So realistically, Drake Maverick, Kurt Hawkins, Heath Slater, Eric Young, EC3, these are guys that, yeah, you feel sorry for, but you're not going to feel sorry to a point where, oh my God, they're never going to find work. This is an opportunity for these guys to take it and go find something else better elsewhere. You know, this is a blessing in disguise for these guys. EC3 wanted out. We know he wanted out. He didn't have to say anything. He wanted out. He wanted out. You think Eric Young was happy with what he was doing? Maybe he wants something more for himself. He's 40 years old. Probably older than that. He wants something more, probably, at the tail end of his career. Wants to go out with a bang. Nobody wants to be known as a fucking jobber guy in WWE sitting in fucking catering, you know, wasting your career away on a guaranteed 5-year contract with WWE to do nothing. You know, you can only take so much of that. Kurt Hawkins, what was Kurt Hawkins doing? What's use was Kurt Hawkins to the WWE? None. None. Leo Rush wasn't on TV. They got rid of Leo Rush. Did they get rid of Leo Rush because he wasn't talented? Or did they get rid of Leo Rush because he was a headache? And they were reminded of what he did early on in his run there and caused controversy. So he was probably out because of that reason. Not because he wasn't talented, not because they didn't have a plan for him. If you can't find a plan for Leo Rush on WWE TV, then maybe you shouldn't be a pro wrestling writer. Honestly. There's no way Leo Rush doesn't factor into anything on NXT. Eric Rowan. As soon as Eric Rowan's spider was killed, you knew he was done. Dead to rights. So what is Eric Rowan doing on TV? Nothing. I look at Eric Rowan as one of those guys. I look at Leo Rush as one of those guys. I look at EC3 as one of those guys. I look at Karl Anderson, Luke Gallows as one of those tag teams that could make their way over to AEW. Is it wrong of me to say AEW for these guys? No. Is it too soon? Yes, I know that. AEW's not going to sign everybody. But if you don't pick up a Leo Rush for an AEW, I think you're a fool. Leo Rush versus a Sammy G. Leo Rush versus a Darby Allin. Leo Rush versus a MJF. Leo Rush versus a Jungle Boy. I mean, kind of a no-brainer there. EC3, he was photographed with Chris Jericho a couple of months back. Big things in this guy's future. He wanted out anyway. So this is a blessing in disguise for EC3. He'll probably end up in AEW. Nobody's going back to Impact. Impact is dead. Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson I could see going to New Japan or AEW. Eric Rowan. I get the band back together. Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, Brody Lee, in the Dark Order. If you want the Dark Order to be something of a decent stable on AEW television, add some solid acts to it. Eric Rowan's a big guy. He's got a good look. Can go in the ring. Why not get the band back together? Brody Lee, Eric Rowan, and then you got Evil Uno and Stu Grayson with the Beaver Boys in the Dark Order. There you go. Sarah Logan. Sarah Logan's good. Sarah Logan got herself into great shape. Sarah Logan really pushed herself to become better. WWE, yes, I know you guys look at this as, oh my God, they released Sarah Logan. This is a blessing for Sarah Logan. Sarah Logan was deemed a nobody by WWE. She's too good to not find work. Another one that AEW should look at to bolster their women's division. Mike Keota. Mike Keota's been there since 1989. Let go. He was, I believe, out with a back injury. And I believe he violated WWE's wellness policy violation. What the fuck he did, I don't know. What he took, I don't know. Might have been some drugs for or violation for his back surgery. I don't know. But Mike Keota's been there since 1989. If that doesn't tell you that WWE deems you replaceable, I don't know what the fuck will. Nobody is going to be giving off that, oh my God, you can't replace me vibe. Mike Keota was there since 1989. The amount of work and travel he gave, the amount of fucking just years of his life he gave to Vince McMahon, and like that, done. He was out with an injury and got fired. What does that say about Vince McMahon? Yet Rollins wants to say, the negativity. How could you not look at that and not be negative? And he's a senior official. He was their senior official. Yes, I get it. He was probably making more money than 4 younger referees that they just hired. Great. Combined. But that doesn't mean he's not a senior official. That doesn't mean you don't have any fucking use for him on TV. He could end up in AEW. They could use some more competent referees over there. Primo and Epico. I'm not going to be sad for Primo and fucking Epico. They should have been released 3 years ago. When was the last time we seen these guys on WWE TV? They're wrestling in Puerto Rico. The last time I heard of these guys, they didn't want to come to the WWE headquarters to take a fucking drug test. Who cares? Who cares? Am I going to feel sympathy for somebody who's been off TV for a year and a half? That should have been released 3 years ago? Come on. Mike and Maria Kanellis. Why are you people complaining on social media? Why are you complaining about Maria Kanellis being released? Or Mike Kanellis being released? He asked for his release. This guy signed a 5-year deal and then got put on TV, didn't like the way he was being treated, asked again to be let out of his contract after signing a 5-year deal. This is what he wanted. I don't feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for Maria Kanellis. This woman signed the WWE contract knowing that she was pregnant without telling the company, and then after signing said, you know what, I need to be out on maternity leave. I'm pregnant. I don't feel sorry for these fucking people. You dug your own grave at that point. Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder's been with the company just as long as Heath Slater's been with this company. 15 years. He had moments. Long Island Iced Z got himself over to a point where WWE said, you know what? We can't allow this guy to be more over than the guys that we actually want to push. He got over us on his own. Nope, sorry. So they derailed him, killed his YouTube show, killed his push, kept him off TV, let everything that he built for himself as far as momentum go, the woo, and all that shit, dead. They fucking killed it. Did Vince McMahon appreciate Zack Ryder's services? No. And now Zack Ryder has the number, legitimately, this is no lie. Ryan Barkin of Pro Wrestling Tees tweeted out that Zack Ryder has the #1 selling t-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees at this moment. Cody Rhodes loves Zack Ryder. If I am not mistaken, it was Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes that actually set him up with Chelsea Green, and now they're engaged. If you don't think Cody Rhodes is looking at Zack Ryder, you're a fool. You're a fool. AEW could do a lot with Zack Ryder. AEW could give Zack Ryder's Long Island IZ show if it's not copyrighted by WWE or trademarked by WWE. That's his property, I believe. They could let him do that on a social media platform where AEW does social media incredibly well. It could fit right into the fucking programming with AEW Dark, with Being the Elite, Long Island IZ, the true story of Long Island IZ. Can bring him back and give him that fucking sense of importance again. Same thing with Kurt Hawkins. Maybe they bring in both Ryder and Hawkins. Ryder could succeed on his own. You want to bring in Hawkins and have another solid tag team for the division. Could do that as well. Really. Without Zack Ryder, I'm not a big Zack Ryder guy, but I think Zack Ryder is as genuine as they come. You can just sense he's a real good fucking dude. Without Zack Ryder, there is no Being the Elite. There is no social media presence the way it is now. You could date back to his YouTube show as the beginning of what you see right now. What's clicking on social media? What the Young Bucks did with Being the Elite. Without Zack Ryder, there might not be any Being the Elite. He's the fucking OG of what you see right now as far as social media, online entertainment, and presence. So give him his respect. Give him his due. Cody Rhodes, I'm sure, could make a hell of a lot of money off Zack Ryder. And it seems like Pro Wrestling Tees is doing that already. That's got to be a nice boost for him, right? Number one selling t-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. He's probably thinking, man, oh man, I could do this. There may be light at the end of the tunnel. No Way Jose. No Way Jose got called up from NXT to do what? Dance around and not feel important at all. Did Vince McMahon care about No Way Jose? No. Absolutely not. This is a blessing in disguise for No Way Jose. Somebody that I'm sure wants more of an opportunity somewhere else, and he's going to use the fact that he was a WWE employee somewhere else, and that's probably going to get him signed somewhere else. Probably go under a different moniker, get rid of that ridiculous gimmick, and show everybody what he could actually do. This is a blessing in disguise. I don't feel bad for them in totality. I don't. I feel bad for them in the moment. They will be fine. Rusev. If there's one talent that a lot of people say WWE just left on the table to die, they left all that money on the table with and did nothing with, it's Rusev. It's Rusev. This is something that Rusev wanted. You think Rusev wanted to be in this fucking shitty storyline with Bobby Lashley and Lana? Wedding angle? Jerry Springer-like shit? Rusev never won a world title. Rusev was never in the plans to do anything WWE big time. What did they do with Rusev? Nothing. They always took Rusev for granted. They always stifled Rusev. They always kept Rusev down, you know, prohibiting him from getting as big as, you know, he possibly could be. Just go back to Aiden English. Aiden English was released too. Why not bring Aiden English and Rusev in as some fucking faction in AEW? Again, I'm not saying that they should sign everybody. I'm not saying that they could sign everybody. I'm just letting shit roll off my tongue. I'm thinking and I'm telling you guys. Rusev and AEW? I mean, why not? Where would Rusev be in AEW? He'd be much further ahead than anywhere he was in WWE. And they would use him to his full potential. Obviously, Rusev is trademarked. He won't be able to use Rusev Day. But, I mean, everybody talks about how underutilized Rusev has been. Rusev could go to New Japan. Rusev could go to Ring of Honor. Rusev could go in Impact. He could show up in AEW. I mean, Rusev was over with Aiden English as Rusev Day. They should have won the Tag Team Championships 3 years ago. WWE did not give them the Tag Team Championships because all WWE had in mind was to kill Rusev Day. That's all they wanted to do. They didn't want to push them as a tag team. They were like, oh, these guys are too big and too popular. We're going to kill them. That's exactly what they did. Killed Rusev Day, took Aiden English away from Rusev, kept Rusev off TV until they wanted to bring him back. Again, a product of WWE having too much talent and letting politics get in the way. And that's exactly what it ended up being. NXT performers, Deonna Purrazzo. She could find work anywhere. She's fucking great. So I don't really concern myself with Deonna Purrazzo and where she will end up. Alexander Jacek, MJ Jenkins, Ace Steel, Kendo Kashin, Serena Deeb. Producers, employees, some have been furloughed, some have not. Kurt Angle. Imagine being Kurt Angle, having your fucking retirement match against Baron Corbin, and then being fired. You know? Aiden English, done. Aiden English already says he's not done with pro wrestling. So wherever he ends up, he's going to be wrestling. Lance Storm, they just brought him back. They just brought him aboard 2 months ago. Done. So he may be one of the ones furloughed. Shane Helms, gone. Sarah Stock, Scott Armstrong, Billy Kidman, Fit Finlay, who was beloved by everybody in that company. Pat Buck, they just brought him in. They just brought him in from Creator Pro. Had their farewell. That was with the whole Big Cass situation where they knocked out Big Cass. He was one of the people that knocked Big Cass out. They signed him. Gone. Sean Daivari. Mike Rotunda. Father of Bray Wyatt. The former IRS. Fired on tax day. Andrea Listenberger. She was a writer for WWE on SmackDown. She was the one woman who was the spearheaded the Mandy and Otis storyline on SmackDown. She was primarily the brainchild for that. Gone. Gone. Of all the writers, why did she have to why was she let go? Why was she given her release? I don't know. It makes you think. It really makes you think the WWE let her go because the storyline was talked about by everybody online as being the best thing on SmackDown Live. You know, it really makes you wonder. I'm getting into my conspiracy theory ways right now, but why would you let somebody let go like that that's been heralded as like, oh my God, they love what I'm doing. This is great. It's working. The storyline's the best thing on TV right now. And they let her go. And then Jerry Soto, a Spanish language announcer. And those are all the names right now as far as those who have been released from WWE. Folks, it's simple. WWE is a business. WWE is going to have to cut. WWE is going to have to set themselves up for the future. Could this have been avoided? Absolutely. Absolutely. WWE hoarding talent is the primary reason for all of this just happening. On top of the virus itself, WWE hoarding talent is the reason why so many people were let go on Wednesday afternoon. And if they did things differently in the last 2 years, instead of being greedy and Vince McMahon wanting all the shiny toys for himself to not play with them, then this could have been half of what it was, 60, 70% of what it was, instead of having 40 men and women lose their job in the middle of a fucking pandemic. You know? It's all about WWE appeasing their stockholders. It's all about WWE making sure that their priorities are straight and their assets are where they need to be and their stock gets back to where it needs to be. Everybody that was let go was a casualty of WWE business. Whether you agree with Vince McMahon's business or not, it's a business at the end of the day. These people will be fine. Look at the names on the list. There are a bunch of names that people did not see on TV. Some of which that you didn't see on TV anyway. They were working behind the scenes or writing for the show. Most of these names were people that were not on TV to begin with. So how much of it is you feeling bad? And why are you feeling bad? And why are you not looking at the blessing that it is that they're now away from this cancerous corporation? And maybe they could finally go on to bigger and better things and make a name for themselves that Vince McMahon was never going to allow them to make. You know? I'm trying to look at it in a positive way. I'm not looking at it in an insensitive way. I'm not insensitive to these people being released. I feel sorry for them because, like I said a few times here, I've been there. I've felt what that feels like. But we're all against Vince McMahon here because of his greediness. And I hope that no more are released. I hope things eventually go back to normal. And I want the best for everybody. You, me, the community, everybody. I want to have fun again. I want to watch wrestling excited again. I want to feed off the crowd's excitement. I can't do it. And WWE, their long list of mistakes is something that just eventually caught up to them. It's all of their greed. It's all of their greed. And Vince McMahon is absolutely to blame for what had happened yesterday. Guys, I'm getting out of here. That's all I got. If anything else is reported on or if anything else is said as far as releases go, I will let you guys know on Saturday's show. Until then, thank you all so very much. Hit that thumbs up. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Follow me on Patreon if you guys want. Patreon.com/JDfromNY206. Beachbody on demand. Text script to 303030. I highly suggest it. Hit that shit up and get working out. And I will see you guys right back here on Saturday with more OTS. Got SmackDown tomorrow night. Well, Friday night, rather. Tonight. You guys are seeing this on Friday. I'll see you guys tonight for SmackDown, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for SmackDown. Hopefully, no more releases, and we can go about having a normal podcast. This was draining, guys. Very draining. You know, feel sorry for everybody, and hopefully everything turns out to be better than ever. See you guys then.